Everyone dreams about living an uncommon life, but how we define that dream is very different for each of us. And for most, it's a lifelong pursuit. Welcome to the Uncommon Life Project podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living that life or enjoying the journey to get there. We're going to also give you some tools, tricks, and tips for starting or accelerating your own efforts to live an uncommon life, a life worth celebrating and savoring. Please welcome your hosts, Brian Dewhurst and Philip Ramsey.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Uncommon Life Project, where I'm your host, Philip Ramsey.
And I am Brian Dewhurst.
Thanks for tuning in. We love you. Thanks for listening. What else do we want to say? It's always fun to just talk at the beginning because it's just fun to talk.
Well, it's the beginning of 2021 now. And I think everybody's ready for a fresh start and new goals and new ideas and coming together as a country.
Isn't that what we want to hear? Awesome. Well, we've got an amazing guest for you here today. I can't wait to unpack her story and get into it. So let's do the bio. And then
we have the one, the only. She came from Colorado, moved here with her husband. She's been married 14 years, 4 daughters, ages 10 to 1, homeschools, and is the founder of Heart on Your Sleeve. Welcome to the show, Lauren Thomas.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. You know, it's funny because a lot of times when we meet with people, they have an idea and that idea turns into something. Sometimes it turns into something bigger than they even thought. And that's kind of your story. So When you first started Heart on Your Sleeve, what did you think was going to be and how did it become to what it was now?
Okay, so the story of how it started is kind of by accident.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You like that?
So this is where I was. I had a 2-month-old, my 4th baby. I was tired and bored.
No way. Tired and bored.
Yeah.
Usually those aren't the two that
Right.
you come together with.
Well, bored in the sense that I was just doing schedule, feedings, naps.
Right.
It was just the monotony of every day. And so we had gone to dinner the night before with a couple. And my girlfriend asked me, "Are you starting to get a little stir crazy yet?" And I said, "Yes. Tomorrow I'm going to go to Michael's and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I've got to figure out something."
We're crafting.
Yes. I have to go find something to make or to be creative with because I'm starting to go a little crazy. So I drove to Michael's the next day and I stood in the bead aisle and I just looked around at all the beads and I just grabbed a few things and went home. So I made that night a set of bracelets with my daughter's names on them. And I posted it on my Facebook with the hashtag Heart on My Sleeve. And I got a really good response from my friends, my personal Facebook
Inner
page.
circle.
Inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
So what I realized, though, is if this had, because people were like, you should sell these. If you made these for, if you sold these, I'd buy one. And I thought, well, yeah, you say that. But I've kind of learned throughout the years with other past things that your friends and your family are not your customers.
Right. You can, the best edifying point of that is American Idol. You're not a great singer.
Right.
Well, my parents told me I was. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. So I thought, okay, I'm going to see if this is actually a good idea. So I'm going to post this same picture on an Ankeny Mom community page.
Yeah.
Right.
So good.
And
Lauren, I love it.
Yeah. And see what I get there. So that post exploded. I had, what I would call exploded, real traction, like 50 different moms saying, I want a set right now. Like, how can I order this? How can I buy this? So that night I went and I made an Instagram page, came up with a name. I decided to do, the play on the words. It's not Heart on My Sleeve. It's Heart on Your Sleeve because the bracelets would be for you.
Right.
Not me.
Right.
So I twisted it a little. So I made the Instagram page that night and immediately started taking orders and went back to Michael's and got a bunch more beads.
Right. Stop right there.
You're
you
back
stop
at
right
Michael's.
there. You stop right there. Okay. So when you did this, because Matt is your husband, right? And we talk a lot about on this show about how I would say supportive spouses are and how it's so important to make sure they're on board before you go down this uncommon path.
Yeah.
What did he think when you were like, hey, I'm going to try a gram and I'm going to try to make it and we're going to do this? Like, was he all on board or what was his thoughts?
Yes, he's for years, he's believed that I have, some kind of a special creative gift that I just haven't quite figured out where to place it. And so, and I've stayed at home for, 10 years, the last 10 years. So that initial seed money that I took to go buy all the inventory was coming from, our household income that he provides. And he was just from the beginning, like, do it, make it grow. He would even help me in the very beginning when I was really slammed, make bracelets at night.
Shout out to Matt.
Yeah.
Baby in one hand and a bracelet in the other.
That's right. Good. Okay, so we got that. So Matt's supportive. You start the Instagram, heart on your sleeve, and it starts blowing up. Like, what does blowing up mean?
It means, for me, a mom of 4 who's homeschooling during the day and trying to still cook and clean, and, I have an infant. She's 2 months old. Right. It means that I'm staying up until 10:30 after I put all the kids down, making 10 or 20 bracelets a night.
Right.
So that I can fit it in. And then it turned into, I have to start getting up at 5:30 because I can't do it this way anymore. Like, I needed to reschedule my day and my priorities so that I could fit it in before the day even started. Right. Because it was bleeding in and taking over with too many other aspects,
When was the oh crap moment? Because it sounds like there could have been one.
There were several in the beginning where I just needed help from my 10-year-old. I needed help from Matt.
Hands on deck.
Yeah. We were just at the kitchen table. I've got this notepad full of orders, and I'm on my phone, taking requests and customizing.
More orders.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So, there were several, and Matt kept saying, you need to hire someone. You need to hire someone. And
Love that guy.
And I was like, I can't do, I'm not a business owner. This is
Lauren,
just like a fluke. So, eventually I did. So I started this in November of 19, and I finally reached out and got somebody helping me. When was it? I feel like it might have been March. It took me that long. Well, then COVID came.
The Rona.
Right when I reached out to a girl to help me, the Rona came, and everything stopped for a while because nobody knew what to do. And then orders started coming in, and I got her really up and running in the summer. She took over a lot of the load for me.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
And still does.
It. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. All right. Go ahead. I feel like I got way more questions, but we all know
I want to go, maybe this isn't the right tangent, but I want to go back. I think what you touched on first happens to a lot of women, especially in the Christian community.
Yeah.
Of staying home. You have all these children, especially when you're homeschooling.
Several children, yes.
Yeah. And your identity is still in Christ, but I think there is a not like dangerous thing, but like you said, it's just like, I need something else. Like, I've got to have something else that I'm focused on.
Yes.
Outwardly, other than these kids.
Yes. And I felt like that for years, and I couldn't find what it was. I went through phases where I sold, the MLMs. I did the hair shampoo, and I've done makeup, and I've, I tried to do house decorating for a few years. So I feel like I've always been kind of like, I don't want to sound dramatic, but like yearning for something other than my kids. And you feel bad to admit that they don't fulfill and check all the boxes for you, but they just don't.
Right.
They don't.
Shouldn't. Yeah. I would say this. So shout out to Matt for encouraging you to find that. And I don't think a lot of husbands do that because I think they're worried about what's going to happen. But this is what's going to happen. And remember, I'm sure everyone's heard this, like when you have kids and they grow up and then all of a sudden you're like, who is my wife or who is my husband? Like I'm living with a roommate.
Yeah.
And they don't take attention. And I think sometimes it's because husband or wives lose themselves and who they really are.
Right.
And so I think the actually opposite happens when a wife or a husband actually finds what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And it's way more attractive to the opposite person. Like, holy cow, like Yahtzee, I'm seeing you flex a gifting that I haven't seen for a while. You're finding yourself and you are attractive in that way to the spouse because it just is a different light. And we're always constantly changing. But man, kudos to Matt for encouraging you to do that and also taking money out of the budget to try it. Like, what's the problem?
What
Yeah.
advice would you give to, I want to close the loop on this, to a woman who's in that, like, this is stuck in that, I need something else, to get help sooner, because it can have bigger consequences if you don't ask for help or you don't address this.
I don't know. I've thought about that, and it's hard to say because I believe so much in God's perfect timing in things that I just feel like this was the time that God had for me. I was done having kids. The business is sort of born out of my 4 girls, and it's what's coming next.
Right.
I'm closing the chapter on having babies, and this is going forward. So I see the timing was so good, and there's nothing that could have
forced it.
I couldn't have forced it any sooner.
I just mean like maybe asking for help or saying, I'm having these thoughts, or I feel, maybe just talking outwardly about like,
just admitting,
that stuff.
Okay,
admitting.
I wanted these kids. I do appreciate that I stay home with them. I feel like it's a blessing that I don't have to work, but I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I'm missing something for myself that I really want to feel excited and just hopeful about the future for. That's just something for me.
Right.
And so just maybe admitting that, having that conversation, and then from there thinking about what could that be? What are my gifts? I've always been creative. I've always liked to make things with my hands, whether it's decorating or drawing or painting or whatever. So I know that I've got the ability to just make pretty things. But I never thought it would come in the form of making a bracelet. I never thought I'd be a jewelry maker, but whatever, I'll go with it. You know?
Yeah. Clicking the boxes.
Yeah.
I love the progression too that you went through of first starting something, seeing it caught fire, like, and testing it in the market. I think that's brilliant. And a lot of people don't know even how to do that to see if they have legitimate idea. And so kudos to you for that. Then you go in and now you're in the throes of it and you're trying to make all these beads and your 10-year-old is now beading up.
Right.
Two, then like now we need to make this more sustainable.
Right.
And hire somebody. So also too, not only is it sustainable and probably your cash flow for your business profitability wise probably took a step backwards when you did that, but knowing like it's not a bad thing at all.
That was my hang up. That's why I couldn't get past that hiring her. I wanted all the profit for me to stay with me.
Right. So that's exactly where I wanted to go with this.
Yeah.
How did you get over that?
I think I was just forced into it. I have a mentor who I go to every couple months. She's a really successful businesswoman. She's one of my best friends, but she is her brain works so much different than mine. And she has no fear. She has, just do this, do this, do that. So she'll give me advice. And she basically told me, run your process into the ground until it breaks. And then you'll be forced into your next step. So I've just taken her advice and I just got overwhelmed. I just got to the point where I was getting too many orders in to keep up with. I like to get my customers' orders out within 1 week of them ordering. And I was getting to the point where it was taking me too long for what I was comfortable with as far as giving good customer service. So that's when I knew it was the time. And then what happened is once I hired that girl to help me, and I felt that burden lift, I was like, okay, this is worth it.
Right.
Just having that help and knowing that I wasn't keeping all the profit, I was giving some away.
You don't know how bad you need it until you have it. And then you're like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yes, that's exactly
And I
how
think
felt.
that's what I wanted to kind of unpack a little bit is a lot of business owners get to that point. A lot of the business owners are scared to do it. But once they get it, all the business owners I've talked to are like, wish I would have done that sooner, with the right employee, right?
Yeah. And my husband was telling me that for months. He knows too, but it's just the point that you have to get to when you realize it.
Sure.
Right.
And I think you could also go one of two ways. I could have just been like, I'm done, and like totally backed off, stop running ads, get too scared, or push through, do something uncomfortable.
Go to the next level.
And
I want to touch on that. Two things. I think they dovetail. You kind of said before we got on, I don't have a website. And so I think, we start talking about starting new businesses. I talk about leapfrogging a lot with people where, like if someone in Eastern Africa doesn't have a cell phone or, they're not going to go to a landline before they go to a cell phone, they're just going to go straight to the cell phone. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're seeing businesses start up where it's like, I don't even want a website.
Don't need it.
I don't need it. I can
Nope.
sell within an Instagram or Facebook.
Yep.
Direct. And and then you kind of just said it too. It sounds like you're running ads. So can you kind of talk to our listeners about some of those decisions from a, infrastructure standpoint, web versus social, and then how you just kind of started adding fuel to the fire?
Okay. Yeah. So my Instagram page, initially I got my first 100, 200 maybe followers who were the word of mouth from that group I posted on. And I intentionally did not, how you can invite your friends and family already. I invited nobody.
None of that. Brilliant.
I wanted it to
So
be
proud of you.
strangers.
Right.
I wanted to know nobody.
Why?
Because like I said before, to be honest, there's a fear of looking stupid in front of the people because
Right.
you're putting yourself out there.
Okay.
You're trying something new and you feel like if this fails, I'm going to look dumb.
Right.
They're going to see me fizzle out and this
Right.
kind of just fall on its face.
Keep going. Yes.
I didn't want anybody to know I was doing it, that I knew.
Okay.
And I also just, like I said, wanted to see the viability without the support of friends and family.
Right.
So at some point, though, my followers kind of stagnated because, I was just posting to the same few people all the time. And yes, they might tell a girlfriend to go follow this page, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't going to keep bringing consistent orders in. So I figured out, and even though I don't feel tech savvy, I have learned how to run my Instagram page pretty well, I would say. I've learned how to do the stories. I've learned how to do the highlight bubbles. You've got to figure out how all that works so that you can keep your page engaged. But I figured out the ad thing. So you can take a post, you can do a promotion on it where you pay a certain amount over a certain number of days and it'll target your target group for you. And so I started running these ads, just spending like $30. Just not a lot.
Right.
$30,
Something.
$50.
Setting kind of
Yeah.
a ceiling to how much it could spend.
Yes. And then I would always get a flurry of orders every time I ran an ad. So I
Good for
just
you.
kept running ads after ads after ads. They go 6 days or whatever. And then when it
for
ends,
you.
start another one. So I've got 1,500 followers now.
Okay.
In a year.
Still don't know. Still very few of them are people I know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel right now like I do need to take another jump some way. I need to either increase my ad money or something because I'm starting to feel like, okay, these people that have been following me for a year, they've
All
seen
have
it.
bracelets.
Right.
Yes, they all have bracelets.
Really?
They're not
They've
having
seen
enough
it.
kids. We got to.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's
Nice.
my next step of how do I keep growing past
Let's
this
talk about this.
point.
I want to riff with this with Brian because we just basically had this whole conversation.
Yeah, we just
That's
came and
weird.
shot another podcast. And as he was leaving, I wrote this on, like, what you're talking about is actually on the whiteboard from
Oh.
our previous
Oh,
conversation.
weird.
So, yeah, go ahead.
So our main point is friends and family is not the place you should start. And
Yeah.
so many businesses start there.
Yeah.
And what we would say is work outside and then get your family and friends so excited because there's so much
Yes.
momentum
Yeah.
that now you have a viable product.
You want the, why didn't you tell me you were doing this? Like,
right.
That's
That's
what I
what you want.
did.
Right.
At my 1 year anniversary, I posted back on my personal page.
Right.
I've been doing this for the last year.
Wonderful.
I've done this many sales, this many,
Right. Nice.
and people were like, I didn't know you were doing this. And I'm
Right.
like, exactly.
Nailed it. So I would also say I just think all really good wisdom comes from the Bible. So there's that.
Yeah.
I'll be very candid. And so we've been going through Mark, and in that Jesus says, a prophet is not without honor except in his hometown, among his relatives and his household.
Yes.
Basically meaning a prophet has no real standing in the town that he's from and lived in, because they're like, no, I know that guy. I
Yeah.
played football with that cat. He ain't nothing.
Yeah.
I'm totally ad-libbing there, but you get that there is something about knowing somebody that it helps to have an outside influence tell you whoa, he's in a whole different world right now. And so kudos to you. And it's interesting that came back up.
Yeah, it's funny because
Yeah,
I
why
talk
is
about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency a lot with family and friends, and they're just like, yeah, we're good.
Right.
And it's actually
Right.
the people that aren't close to me that are maybe more drawn to it.
Uh-huh.
And you can only lead a horse to water, so much. And So it is. There's a principle to it, and I think
Mm-hmm.
we encourage entrepreneurs to like don't go to your friends and family first.
First, yeah.
Validate, and I think that's
Yeah.
a great thing that you've done.
Well, when you start those MLMs, they tell you make your list of 100
Right.
friends and family
Oh.
that you can call first.
Anything with MLMs, don't do that.
I
am
know.
not a fan.
Well, and I think too on that topic, I think this is interesting because I think you've been really candid with us, and I really appreciate that. Like, a lot of us have tried MLMs. You do want something outside of your kids. You do want to make an extra
Money.
$500 or
Yeah.
$1,000 a month, and I think now with COVID and work from home and all the different things with social media, you're living that of like, I can do something and manage it within the context of my family and have an outward reach. And so I think there is this opportunity right now for us to be more entrepreneurial. And
Yes.
you're not sitting here saying like, I want to be a multimillionaire from this, but it is helping your family.
Yeah,
and it's certainly
it
helping
is.
you, and then you're a better mom to your kids and a better wife to your husband. And can you share a little bit about like your faith through all this and just getting this outward expression of your identity in Christ and having this outlet?
Well, I think what's been the coolest, and I'm sure you guys can agree that almost every business can probably say that you start it thinking it's going to be a business and then you end up getting so much more from it because you're customers, you're helping them.
Right.
And so it sounds stupid, but I'm making these bracelets, but the stories that I hear, the people that'll message me, it's like my mom's got cancer, she's going through chemo, or I had a lady one night message me, can you make me 4 bracelets by tomorrow morning that all say sisters? My aunt is dying and her 3 sisters
Oh, wow.
want to get her bracelet before she passes. Then I meet her the next morning and she says it's too late. She passed away this morning.
Oh, wow.
Or, miscarriages. We want to, memorialize the baby that we lost at
Yeah.
7 months.
Which happens so much more than
So-
people.
Yeah.
I think maybe just
So
as you
true.
get older,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're.
So I guess I just see these stories and I get to help these people and it means something to them. And then I see God's work through that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been really surprising
Yeah.
and
Cool as well.
unexpected.
Right.
Yeah. So that makes it feel like, there's more to it. There's a deeper meaning. And just the beginning of the story, like I told you, I kind of just feel like it was on accident that it even happened. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't looking to start a business. I wasn't looking to make jewelry. And there's another funny story. When I was driving home from Michael's that first day, I looked out the window and I saw this little shop on the side of the road that I had never seen before. And I thought, oh, I need to go in there someday. That looks cute. So then I'm home that week and I'm making those initial first orders. And I see the same logo that was on that side of that shop in my inbox. This girl had ordered a bracelet set. And I said, do you have a little shop in Ankeny across from Keystone Church? And she said, yeah, I do. And I said, okay, this is weird. I know this might sound odd, but I'm getting all these orders and I don't really want to be meeting up with all these people to get them their
good idea.
bracelets. Is there any way I can just drop all my orders off at your shop and tell people to pick their orders up there?
Because it's
Yes,
publicity.
bringing people
and
because how many other people like me drive by and don't know what it is?
Right.
So it's getting her new customers and it's
It's a
helping
win-win.
me.
Win-win.
Yeah.
Get it.
So then I go in there to do that. I drop off all the orders and we look at each other and we've known each other. I knew her
Stop it.
from like 20 years ago.
Wow.
When we were,
That's really
19.
cool.
We worked at American Eagle together.
Oh, of course you did. Of course you did. Okay, let's go. I want to go to like the business side of things. And normally we don't do this, but I think it's interesting. So are you incorporated? How did you do that? Where are you at?
So last week I just sat down and I got my QuickBooks put together.
Okay.
I need to do my LLC
Okay. Yeah.
and get legit, get real.
Right. Right.
Well, and I think you can still be legit.
You
And
are
you
legit.
can be like
Right.
self-employed. There's a place for that on the tax return, but yeah, you kind of reach a level of it probably makes sense to incorporate.
Yeah.
And is
And pay taxes and all that biz.
right. Is a CPA helping you with that? Because these are like you can get in pitfalls pretty quick.
Probably your mentor and guiding a little bit.
I think your mentor, whoever that is, you can totally give her a shout out if you want. I would say talk to her about that. Hey, here's what income is coming in. Here's where it's going out. What would you suggest from this perspective and why? And I think that you'll see that the tax code is built for business owners.
Yeah.
So that's something, I mean, like you can write off things and
Right.
it gets pretty nice.
Okay.
Which is helpful. Right.
Yeah, the IRS code is built for business owners and entrepreneurs because we take a risk, we employ people, we are creating things, and so the code is designed that way because that helps everybody. So
yeah,
you gotta
man,
be
I
mindful of that.
just love the story. So this is why we started this podcast, candidly. So we're financial advisors that feel like you are your best asset. What in the world does that mean? It means that Lauren had an idea. She didn't know how to get it off the ground. Yeah. And so be able to step in with Lauren or people like Lauren and help them navigate these things in such a way where not only I would say is this fulfilling, but it's also profitable. And it can be profitable. And so that's been such a joy. So that's what we do here at Uncommon Wealth Partners. Brian and I started it, and we really wanted to start it for those people who are like, hey, I got an idea. I don't know how to do it. Those are our people. We love those people. And so we can help those people walk beside them and show them how their ideas for tomorrow actually help them for retirement versus the advisor who are just like, no, give me your money and I'll give it back to you when you're 65. Barf. So that's why we started. And then this podcast is highlighting people like Lauren who are loving what they're doing. And it might have been an idea they've had since they were a child. It might be something that like you did and just fell right into it. Either way, you can see how you are impacting people in an awesome, positive way. Yeah. And we need more people like you. So I don't know how many friends you have, but like get them all. Let's go. Let's go Uncommon. I love it.
Well, I think, shameless plug for our website, because we talk about the 7 sources of residual income, and network marketing and MLM is one of them. We've kind of gone back and forth whether we should include that or not as its own
poor
separate
Philip,
category.
Pretty much Philip has gone back and forth. Brian's like, no, it's valid.
But I think that's
There's
what
some girls making a lot of money doing those MLMs.
More millionaires have been made out of MLM than any other industry in the world. So anyways, I won't go down that path, but I think there's a lot of people out there, like you, my wife and I have done it. And, it does have a stigma to it, so to speak. And so I think, can you talk to our listeners about the kind of joy and fulfillment of this and owning this and getting to make some of these decisions of, how do I want it to look? How do I want it to ship? How do I want to price it versus where you're at with kind of like an MLM and like, you're more in a box and I have this one way to do it. And then can you kind of highlight that?
Well, I've never been asked that question before, but the first thing that came to my mind was I can use my instinct.
Yeah.
So I can decide on the spur of the moment, I'm going to run an ad right now. I'm going to use this bracelet to promote this right now. Or I'm going to design, I get a spark of inspiration. I'm going to sit down right now. I'm going to design a new set.
Right.
And I just have the freedom to do that.
Right. To be decisive.
Yeah. I don't know any
Some
other
would
way
say that decisiveness right now is the best leadership quality. We just had a podcast and that's what he said. So
that was the major takeaway. But I think it is timely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep going. It's great.
What about like socially and like, because it's emotional to be in multi-level marketing. It's just like that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
So,
when
like,
I did that
personal.
in the past, they're like, you've got to make videos. You've got to engage. You need to be posting 3 times a week at least.
Right.
And then you got to sprinkle in a little bit of personal stuff in there too. So then everyone you see that does that, they're doing like a formula.
Get off of me.
And it kind of feels a little disingenuous.
I get it.
So my posts are when I want to. They're about what I want to post.
Get
And,
it,
nobody else is driving that and giving me the formula of how to do it. Maybe it would be helpful to have a little bit of that, a little bit of direction, because I'm just kind of winging it.
Right.
But, I've had people tell me, your page is good, but you need to show yourself more. You need to show your face more. You need to involve your family more, make it more about your life overall than just your business.
Sure.
And I can see the value in that, but then I feel like,
it's just not genuine.
I'm not trying to be an influencer.
Right,
I'm not trying to go down that. I don't want to show my outfits, so I don't know how much advice to take
I love it,
from that.
You're great.
I think these are all things that, you see some of these images and stuff and everything looks so canned. And I love the memes where it shows like this is the Instagram photo, but this is really what was happening.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of wisdom in taking that slower.
Lauren,
Yeah.
you're doing awesome things. And I
Thanks.
love that you have a mentor to help you through that.
Yeah.
And I think, so we call it, mentors are the cheat code of life, because then they just don't let you go down pitfalls that they have.
Yeah.
So what would a piece of advice that you'd have to your younger self?
I don't know. Just don't worry so much about the future. Oh my gosh, I'm a worrywart. I've been a worrywart my whole life, I would say. Just always worrying about what's coming, what's next. I want security all the time. My family, we've been through a lot. My husband and I, we went through at the crash of the bubble,
08,
the house
09.
bubble. Yeah. We foreclosed on our house. We had to walk away. We had to start over from the ground up. And then my husband was diagnosed with cancer in his ear 5 years ago.
Wow.
And we found out last November that it's back in his lungs.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
So there's a never-ending list for me to worry about in the future and in the present. So I feel like the longer I live, the more I see God is always taking care of
Faithful.
Mm.
Right.
every step of the way. And I've spent so much time worrying in life.
Right.
So he's good. He's in a trial right now, doing an experimental drug trial treatment, and it's going really good. And we have all the reasons to be hopeful. It's a very slow growing cancer, but I would just say my younger self just wanted everything in life to come easy, for there to be no hardship, no pitfalls, and even looking back, seeing all of the hard things that we've had to go through, God is still good. He's still providing.
Right.
Actually, this year it's blown our minds how God has blessed us this year,
Good.
which is, some
Crazy
people are
to say.
Yeah.
You almost feel
COVID
bad
year.
about it. Like,
Yeah.
what?
I think like
It's been
this
amazing.
is such a pressure, especially in the Christian community, to have it like all put together and to be comfortable. And like, God doesn't want us to be comfortable. God wants us to be uncomfortable, And I think when you step out in faith like this, God gives you things that you couldn't even have planned for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think like you're touching and highlighting on that awareness now of like, oh my gosh, we're at a place I couldn't even have fathomed, even amidst a trial.
Amidst it. Yeah.
So that's
How do our listeners find out more about you? Heart on your sleeve, all of that.
Okay,
Tell 'em.
so my main and most active platform is Instagram. The name is heart.on.your.sleeve. I know it's kind of a mouthful, but
Perfect.
that's the only name that wasn't already taken.
Right,
I had to put the dots in. And then the same name is also on my Facebook. I don't have a website. I don't have an Etsy shop. That's
Don't
another
feel bad
question.
about it. Don't feel bad about it.
Yeah,
Everybody-
don't feel bad. Etsy's blowing up though.
I know.
I get it.
I kind of think that might be one of the,
The
next
next
things I need to
phases.
do.
Yeah.
In case Instagram shuts down or something, because
Who knows?
literally this
Those
business wouldn't
platforms
exist without Instagram.
that's a big risk, honestly,
Yeah.
is
Good for you to
You
know
know,
that could be a risk.
Yeah.
And then trying to other ways to get around it.
and candidly, we don't need to go down this rabbit hole, but I'm curious. Do you know what Gumroad is?
No,
Okay.
Never heard
well,
of
then
it.
let's not go into it, but it's I don't know much about it either. It's growing rapidly, and I think it's something kind of like Etsy.
oh, okay,
But different.
heard of
but,
it.
So anyways, I don't know either. So not important.
okay.
Lauren, thank you for taking time.
Yeah,
it's been
thank
such a
you.
joy.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're impacting others. You've been listening to the Uncommon Life Project. I've been your host, Philip Ramsey.
And I am Brian Dewhurst.
Tune in next time. Until then, go be uncommon.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
That's all for this episode of the Uncommon Life Project, brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.